Okay, here's finds that I've made from Excavation 1. But firstly, I'll point out just a few things on the plot that I actually discovered. When I first started digging, more or less, I dug down into the earth, and just underneath the earth, about this point, there was a large pile of old smashed ink bottles, the pottery ones, the stoneware ones. I'd expect they could have been deposited maybe sometime after 1920, something like that, because they was manufactured about between 1850 and 1920. So they could have been deposited any time, but there was a not far under the surface, showing that the soil was pretty old, as we say. Just underneath the surface was them old ink bottles. There was also, if I remember rightly, a Victorian halfpenny come up. Probably about the same, just under that depth. Coming around, I would say probably about there was the old remains of clockwork. It looked like that it used to be an old clock. The brass frame was there, with cogs, you know, the wheels, the inners were there. They were in a pile, not so far under the surface again, just underneath, if I remember rightly. So even though the soil had developed, I don't think the development was that rapid, and was probably more or less original soil to that particular time of maybe early 1900s. So it had developed at a rate that things were just under the surface. The finds on the whole started to thin out by about 7.5 feet, which would be from the brick structure probably about there, started to peter out. So you were getting quite a few old finds, and then they started to slowly peter out until you got to that part. And I wouldn't say there was hardly any at all, but there was less finds. Surprisingly, there was also even though there was that pile of pottery ink bottles, there was not a lot of glass or pottery found. There's pottery shards, but not an immense amount, and there was no whole bottles found. In classic soil tips you will find whole pottery and bottles, but there was nothing here. And I wouldn't say a massive amount, there was quite a bit, but not a massive amount of pottery, so it's not exactly a soil tip.